We have a colorful week full of planetary transits. In this week's astrology, there's a new moon in Virgo, giving us the opportunity to work on getting on a self-improvement journey. And of course, I will be making a separate video and podcast for this. Mercury shifts out of retrograde this week, giving us the opportunity to review things that were occurring in the beginning of August concerning getting our lives in order. And the sun will be making the most transits this week, giving us the opportunity to work on our confidence and ego issues. And even with the interesting things we have going on this week, the vibes on the graph are minimal, and they pretty much sum up the next 7 days. From the 12th to the 15th, solitude energy will be present. It'll hit its highest on the 13th, and then taper off as we get to the 15th, intersecting social energy, which will be present all the way up until the weekend, throughout the entire weekend. Because of the mixed bag of transits that we have going on, that middle portion of the week is going to feel as though we're just experiencing moments where we need some space. We're experiencing moments where we may feel more triggered than normal. Considering we'll have a moon in Leo around that time, it's not generally the energy you would associate with Leo energy, but due to the transits that moon is making, it could make for moments where our moods are fluctuating, causing us to want some space to ourselves. Then from the 15th to the 17th, social energy will be present. Between the new moon in Virgo, Mercury going direct, and the transits that are happening over the weekend, we could get out of that mood of not wanting to be around people to wanting interaction, wanting to mingle, wanting to get out, wanting to let our hair down, and really just take the edge off from the week itself. So yeah, we have yet another interesting week. Let's look at these next bunch of days and see what we can expect. As a reminder, don't forget to like and subscribe because it helps this channel grow. And if you'd like to support the work of this channel, you could do so by buying me a fresh cup of coffee. There's a link in the description box below. Monday kicks off with harsher tones in terms of transits. Mercury's going to make a semisextile to Mars, and the sun's making a quincunx to Chiron. So with these two energies combined, it could be a mixed bag day of feeling self-conscious, but also dealing with moments where we're feeling more brazen than others. With the Mercury semisextile Mars situation, it could be a day of feeling more irritable than normal. So communication-wise, it's not one of the best alignments in terms of being able to speak directly, because otherwise it tends to be misunderstood from other people. To put it simply, being honest sometimes backfires in this energy. Mercury-Mars combinations give us the urge to be forthcoming. It gives us the urge to be really honest and really blunt about things. And a lot of the times, that's a good thing. But there are other times where it's not either called for or it just comes off wrong, it doesn't hit correctly. And this is one of those alignments where we're dealing with the latter of that. Although there can be moments where it's calling for you to stand up for yourself, it tends to be an alignment where we have to deal with the conflict that comes with standing up for ourselves. So it might be a day to pick and choose your battles, but if, again, you're called to make those actions or take those actions, it's a day to face conflict head on, so that way others aren't walking all over you, which in my opinion is a positive thing. And again, with an alignment like this, and with this being a retrograde alignment, it also can bring up situations that we were holding back on. In other words, if there was something that we were holding in and not being direct about, it can come out on this day. And an energy like this could also come out as someone blurting out someone else's business and other things that seem too harsh to talk about. Then with the sun on that same day making a quincunx to Chiron, this can bring up situations where we lack self-assurance in ourselves. Because this is a quincunx, it always brings up where we lack insight, so sometimes we may be unaware of our lack of confidence. In other words, this can bring up actions that we're doing in order to get our ego fed. This could bring up actions where we're dependent on others in order to get a boost to our ego. Sometimes this can show up as depending on external things in order to feel inspired or motivated, rather than being our own best cheerleaders. Energy like this also tends to cause our moods to fluctuate, so there may be moments where we're feeling pessimistic or just low on energy overall. So the tone for Monday is overall mixed bag in terms of temperament and in terms of our moods, in terms of the way we're feeling about ourselves. So do the best you can when some of these energies hit and try to ground yourself and find ways to boost your mood the healthiest way you can. Couple of days before that new moon in Virgo, the moon's going to be in Leo, and generally a moon in Leo helps us find creative ways to boost our confidence. And it's not to say that we won't find those moments, because we certainly will, but there are some harsher things we'll need to shake off during this moon's transit through Leo. The moon will make a square to Jupiter and Uranus, and later on in the day make a quincunx to Pluto. So like what we were seeing on the graph with the solitude energy, these transits that are going on from the moon to Jupiter, Uranus, and Pluto could create moments where we're needing some space to ourselves. Our moods may feel erratic as a result of this energy. Jupiter usually squaring the moon tends to create overindulging moments, but Jupiter also happens to be an expander, so we could be facing situations or the consequences of situations that we've been avoiding, and it may feel like it's in more of an inflated way than typical. Also, we'll have to look at where we might have been careless with our own emotions and the emotions of others. That Uranus energy can cause us to feel like our moods are all over the place, where one moment we're okay, the next moment we're feeling erratic, the next moment we're feeling jittery, and also just feeling like things are just not going as planned. And that Quincunx to Pluto can cause us to address issues that we've been ignoring for a while, which also ties into some of that Jupiter stuff. So if there's been emotions that we've been ignoring, we may have to work through them. This could also be a day where we're unearthing things that were buried beneath the surface besides our emotions. Sometimes this can be about doing research and needing the space from others in order to conduct that sort of deeper understanding about what's going on with us or around us or other problems that need to be solved. And it could also bring up things that we didn't expect to come to the surface. Luckily, this Leo moon is making a conjunction to Venus, a trine to the North Node, a trine to Chiron, and a sextile to the South Node. So this may take some of the sting out the air, giving us the opportunity to release things that are no longer serving us, having a better understanding of the things that we need to heal in order to feel self-motivated again, realizing we need to focus our attention on the worthwhile relationships in our lives, coming to a place where we may find a solution when it comes down to our finances, but overall seeing how we can move forward in a way that helps us get to the next level. And one of the cool things about this is we've got that new moon in Virgo that's coming up 2 days later, so this will be a time of reflection to see what we don't want to take with us and what we want to bring with us, along with any personal growth journey we want to go on to ensure our lives are in tip-top shape. On the 15th, Mercury is going direct. Mercury went into his pre-shadow phase on August 3rd, then retrograde motion on August 23rd. And it did so under the sign of Virgo, which is all about examining every detail, even if it's unpleasant, to ensure that our life passes the white glove test. So under this energy, we work on polishing the unsightly habits in our day-to-day lives. So think about what was occurring for you during this retrograde. Was this a period where you were trying to regain orderliness in your life? Did you spend this period re-examining what's preventing you from personal growth, or learning that you're dysregulated due to a lack of having a routine or a schedule? On the flip side of that, Virgo energy has a lot to do with perfectionism. So has this been a period where you're realizing that perfectionism has derailed you in some sort of way? Was this a time where you were recovering from burnout from overworking yourself, or realizing that your routine has become very rigid? With Virgo energy, we focus on our wellness. So was this a period where you were trying to strike a balance between your diet, activities concerning workouts or other fitness goals, or learning to harmonize your mind-body connection? Virgo energy has to do with how we're of service of others and how useful we are. So was this a period where you were examining that? Were you learning that you needed to pay it forward and do more for others? Or on the flip side of that, was this a time where you were re-examining, is there a balance between how much you're putting out for other people and what you're getting back? Not like it's about keeping score, but when you do for others, you do it from the heart. At other times, sometimes you have to re-examine if you're doing the most for everybody else, but when it's your turn to receive some sort of support, you're not getting any assistance with that. So this could have been a time to examine those relationships on either side of the coin. Since this Mercury retrograde happened in its governing sign, Virgo, we could have experienced classical Mercury retrograde things, such as paperwork, agreements, posts that may have had some sort of errors in it. And by post, I mean social media posts, subscriptions that were purchased impulsively, getting something fixed that didn't go right the first time, and other glitchy occurrences that needed some sort of resolution. But overall, this could have been a period to get detail-oriented in the healthiest way possible about the things that are happening in your life that need some resolution. Mercury will go out of its post-shadow on September 29th, giving us a nice break until December when we have another Mercury retrograde. The signs that would have felt this retrograde more than others would be the mutable modality: Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, between 6 to 22 degrees of these signs. So if you have any chart points or sign placements within these groupings, then you would have felt this retrograde more than others. Saturday and Sunday have a very exciting tone to them because we have two alignments that are anything but boring. The Sun's going to make a trine with Uranus, which may give us a sudden urge to be adventurous and connect with our more authentic selves. And this happens to be a retrograde alignment. Uranus went into its retrograde cycle on August 29th, and so this marks the beginning of the retrograde retrograde cycle. When the sun goes into a trine with any of the outer planets and also Mars, it marks the beginning of the retrograde, but also the closing of a retrograde. This is where we were seeing some of that social energy with an alignment like this, also the Jupiter alignment that we'll have going on the next day. But an energy like this gives us a sudden mood to mingle. So it could be a weekend where we're trying to get together with friends, make sure we're getting out the house and just being adventurous, and having exchanges with others where we could just be ourselves. It could also be a day where we're having sudden breakthroughs in our confidence. So if we were feeling down the other part of the week, at that first half of the week, this could be a period where we're starting to feel good about ourselves again. We're feeling more encouraged, we're feeling more upbeat, which translates into feeling more self-assured about ourselves. Another cool thing with this transit is that it helps us feel sharper than normal when it comes down to our intellect. As a matter of fact, our egos get a significant boost from being intellectual during this energy. So doing things that are mentally stimulating will be really beneficial under an alignment like this. But overall, this can really bring out our need to do something novel over the weekend. And speaking of which, Venus is going to make a square with Jupiter on Sunday, and this could bring out excessive amount of excitement-seeking behavior. So we'll continuously be in the mood to do something new and fun, while also feeling indulgent and more impulsive than usual. Venus and Jupiter in a square happens to be a hard alignment. Also, this happens to be a retrograde alignment. Venus is now direct, but through its retrograde motion, it did make a contact with Jupiter. The last time we had this was on August 22nd. So it could bring up situations regarding being social, regarding partying too much, regarding overindulgence or overspending, not having a care in the world and just letting our hair down. And there's nothing wrong with that. The only issue with an alignment like this is it does create moments where we're excessive about those things. So this may be a day where we have an understanding about that behavior. Sometimes this could translate into our love lives as well with a Venus-Jupiter square. So this may manifest as overdoing it in love life situations. Whether that's dealing with someone who's laying it on too thick, whether it's a little love bomby. Sometimes it's blowing things out of proportion when it comes down to our romantic lives. So it could bring up situations from that period, August 22nd, if you were dealing with that with regards to your love life. But other than that, transit-wise, if you weren't being aspected by this during the Venus retrograde, it can be a fun transit. You just have to be aware of going overboard when it comes down to life's fun things, especially booze, food, and other feel-good things. But yeah, what a week. At least we've rounded off with some fun alignments. Even if that Jupiter-Venus alignment can be a little complicated, it still is one of those weeks where we can turn lemons into lemonade. Anyway, I hope you all have the best week ever. Later, and see you in the next episode.